By the third day, I thought I had covered my tracks well enough. I was almost in the clear. Just one more day, and I'd be back home pretending everything was normal. But then Daniel called me, and this time his voice was different. "Where are you right now?" "I told you, Miami," I said, forcing a laugh. "Why are you so worried? I'm just trying to have a good time." There was silence. Then he said something that sent chills down my spine. "Liz, I tracked your phone. I know you're lying." I froze. My hands started shaking. He continued, his voice steady but deadly serious. "You're not in Miami. You were never in Miami, so tell me, where the hell have you been?" "If you think this story's crazy so far, just wait." The truth behind my lie, it was worse than cheating. Keep listening because what happens next will shock you. Also, if you love engaging stories like this, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that will leave you speechless. Now let's get back to how it all began. My name is Elizabeth. I'm 26 years old, and I have been married to Daniel for 3 years. We had what most people would call a solid marriage. No major fights, no scandals, no reason for concern. At least that's what I thought. But if I had to be honest with myself, things hadn't been perfect for a while. Daniel had become more controlling, more watchful. I understood that he loved me, but sometimes it felt like love mixed with ownership. He constantly asked where I was, who I was with, and what time I would be home. If I went out with my girlfriends, I had to check in every few hours. If I got home late, there was an interrogation waiting for me at the door. So when the idea of a girls' trip came up, I saw it as an escape, just a little break from being Daniel's perfect wife, a weekend of laughter, drinks, and freedom. But the truth is, that wasn't the trip I was taking. The lie had to be perfect. I started by telling Daniel about the trip a month in advance. That way, he wouldn't think it was sudden or suspicious. I even made sure my friend Rachel mentioned it in front of him so it sounded more real. I booked a hotel in Miami, the same one my friends were actually going to, but I never set foot there. Instead, I was headed somewhere else entirely. I had to be careful. I knew Daniel was smart. He noticed small details, like if my hair was styled differently or if the weather in my pictures didn't match the forecast. So I prepared in advance. I took old photos from previous vacations and mixed them with new ones, changing filters to make them look recent. I also asked Rachel to send me live photos from Miami so I could post them as my own. Every Instagram story, every post, it was all carefully curated. For the first 24 hours, everything went smoothly. Daniel texted me the usual, "Hope you're having fun, babe," messages, and I responded cheerfully, sending pictures and updates. But then the first sign of trouble appeared. Daniel sent me a message. "Why does your location show New York?" My heart nearly stopped. I had forgotten one thing. Our phones were connected. Back when we first got married, Daniel and I had shared our phone locations as a sign of trust. I never turned mine off because I had nothing to hide. Until now. I quickly replied, "What? That's weird. Maybe my phone is glitching. I'm definitely in Miami." I turned off my location immediately, making up some excuse about the battery draining faster with GPS on. Daniel didn't question it, at least not yet, but I could feel it. The first crack in my perfect lie. The next day, I got another message. "Liz, are you sure you're in Miami? The weather there is sunny, but in your picture it looks cloudy." I cursed under my breath. He was paying attention to small details, just like I knew he would. Thinking fast, I told him that the picture was from earlier in the morning before the sun came out. He didn't respond for a while, and that silence was worse than an argument. Then another text came. "Rachel posted a video and you're not in it. Why would you not be with your friends on a girls' trip?" I felt sick. I had no answer. Rachel and I had planned for this, but she must have forgotten to mention me in the video. I called her immediately. "Fix it," I whispered, panic setting in. "Relax," she said. "I'll just say you were in the bathroom when I recorded it. Don't freak out." But I was freaking out, because I could feel Daniel's doubt growing. By the third day, I thought I had covered my tracks well enough. I was almost in the clear. Just one more day, and I'd be back home, pretending everything was normal. But then Daniel called me, and this time his voice was different. "Where are you right now?" "I told you, Miami," I said, forcing a laugh. "Why are you so worried? I'm just trying to have a good time." There was silence. Then he said something that sent chills down my spine. "Liz, I tracked your phone. I know you're lying." I froze. My hands started shaking. He continued, his voice steady but deadly serious. "You're not in Miami. You were never in Miami. So tell me, where the hell have you been?" When I walked through the front door expecting a warm welcome, I was met with something else. Cold, hard evidence. I had spent the entire flight back rehearsing my explanations, my excuses. Maybe I could still twist this in my favor. Maybe I could convince Daniel that it was all a misunderstanding, that his tracking app was faulty, or that I had just panicked and shut off my location for no real reason. But deep down, I knew the truth. Daniel was too smart, and he was already one step ahead of me. When I arrived home, the first thing I noticed was the way Daniel was sitting. On the couch, his phone in one hand, his other hand resting on his knee, fingers tapping slowly. He wasn't watching TV, wasn't looking at his phone, just waiting for me. "Hey, babe," I said, forcing a smile, setting my bag down like nothing was wrong. Daniel didn't reply immediately. He just looked at me, his eyes studying every inch of my face as if he was trying to see through me. "How was Miami?" he finally asked. I swallowed hard. "It was great. The weather was amazing. We ate so much good food and—" "Cut the crap, Liz." I froze. "I know you weren't in Miami," he continued, his voice calm. Too calm. "So do you want to tell me where you really were, or should I start showing you proof?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Daniel sighed, unlocking his phone. "Fine, let's start with this." He turned the screen toward me. My heart dropped. It was my location history. The app had logged everywhere I had been, not Miami, not even close. I felt the blood drain from my face. "Daniel, you lied to me." His voice was sharp now, his patience wearing thin. "Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I wouldn't check? Do you think I wouldn't notice the fake photos, the way your stories didn't match the real weather there? Jesus, Liz, I even called Rachel while you were out partying, and guess what? She said she was home. Not in Miami. Home." I clenched my fists. Rachel had messed up. "Okay," I said, my voice shaking. "I wasn't in Miami, but it's not what you think." Daniel laughed bitterly. "Oh?" Then enlighten me. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my wife lied about a trip to sneak off with someone else." His words felt like a slap. I had to think fast, but what could I say? The truth. The truth was worse than cheating. I took a deep breath, lowering myself onto the couch across from him. My hands were shaking. "Daniel, before I tell you everything, you have to promise me something." "Promise you what?" he snapped. "Promise me you'll listen before you judge." He scoffed. "You don't get to make demands, Liz, but sure, I'll listen. Now talk." I swallowed the lump in my throat. My whole body felt like it was shutting down. "I wasn't with another man. I swear on my life, Daniel. I didn't cheat on you." His jaw tightened. "Then where were you?" My lips parted, but the words felt stuck. I wanted to tell him, but saying it out loud made it real. And the real story was going to hurt him more than anything else. "I was in New York," I admitted. His brows furrowed. "New York? What the hell were you doing there?" I hesitated. I was with someone, but not in the way you think." "Liz," he said, his patience hanging by a thread. "Just say it." I inhaled sharply, and then finally I said it. "I was with your boss, Daniel, Mr. Sinclair." The second the words left my mouth, I saw Daniel's entire body stiffen. For a moment, he didn't react, didn't move, didn't even blink. Then slowly he leaned forward, his voice dangerously low. "You were with my boss?" I nodded, my throat dry. "Are you serious right now?" He ran a hand through his hair, then let out a humorless laugh. "Wow, just wow. My wife sneaks off with my boss. That's a new one." "It wasn't like that," I protested. "Daniel, I swear on everything, I didn't sleep with him. I didn't betray you like that." "Then what the hell were you doing?" His voice was rising now, his anger coming to the surface. "Because I can't think of a single damn reason why my wife would go to New York, behind my back with my boss." I closed my eyes. It was a test. Silence. I opened my eyes again to see Daniel staring at me, his expression unreadable. A test? Yes, I whispered. A test. On you. His confusion deepened, but the rage hadn't left his eyes. What does that mean? I swallowed hard, bracing myself for what was about to come next. Daniel, Mr. Sinclair wanted to see if you were loyal to the company. He had doubts about you. He thought maybe you were hiding something from him, maybe taking deals behind his back. He didn't trust you, so he came to me. He said I was the only person who could find out the truth. Daniel's mouth fell open slightly. He asked me to help verify if you were really loyal, and if I refused, I hesitated. He made it clear that if I didn't cooperate, he could make your life hell at work. I didn't know what to do, Daniel. I was scared. I could see the war in his eyes, the anger, the shock, the betrayal. So let me get this straight, he said finally, his voice dangerously low. You lied to me. You faked an entire trip. You let me sit here losing my mind, thinking my wife was with another man, and the whole time you were off spying on me? For him? I bit my lip, nodding. I did it to protect you, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. Protect me? Liz, you didn't protect me. You betrayed me. Do you have any idea what you've done? I had no words because deep down I knew he was right. I had broken something between us, and I wasn't sure if it could ever be repaired. The truth wasn't just painful. It was twisted, because I wasn't cheating, at least not in the way Daniel thought. Daniel was staring at me like I was someone he no longer recognized, and maybe he was right. Maybe I'd become someone else, someone I never thought I'd be, a liar, a betrayer. But I wasn't a cheater, at least not in the way he thought. Say that again, he said, his voice so calm it was terrifying. You went on a secret trip with my boss, to spy on me. I nodded slowly, my heart hammering against my ribs. And you didn't think to tell me? How could I, Daniel? I whispered. If I told you, then the whole thing would have been pointless. He would have fired you on the spot. He said he wanted to see if you were trustworthy, if you were the kind of man the company could rely on, if you were... If I was what? Daniel snapped, cutting me off. Loyal? Because loyalty sure as hell doesn't mean what it used to, Liz. You think what you did was loyalty? I flinched. I had expected him to be angry, but I hadn't expected the look in his eyes, the look that told me I had just destroyed something between us that might never be rebuilt. I did it for you, I said desperately. For me? He let out a hollow laugh. You think sneaking behind my back was for me? Yes, I practically shouted, my emotions spiraling out of control. You don't know the pressure he put on me, Daniel. He made it clear. If I didn't do this, your job was on the line. Everything you've worked for, everything we've built, it could have all been gone. Daniel shook his head, running a hand down his face. And did you ever stop to think, even for a second, that maybe I would have rather lost my job than lost my wife's trust? His words hit me like a punch to the gut. Daniel. I started, but he held up a hand. Number, just tell me everything, all of it. No more half-truths, no more protecting me. Just the goddamn truth, Liz. I swallowed the lump in my throat. There was no turning back now. Mr. Sinclair has been suspicious of you for a while, I admitted. He thinks you're hiding something from him, maybe making deals outside the company, or... That's bullshit, Daniel interrupted. I know, I said quickly. I told him that. But he wasn't convinced. He said he needed proof, and he figured the best way to get it was through me. Daniel clenched his jaw. And what exactly did he make you do? I hesitated. Liz. His voice was sharp. I had to meet with clients, suppliers, business partners, people who work with you, Daniel. He wanted me to ask questions, to dig around, to see if there was anything shady happening under your name. Daniel exhaled slowly, as if trying to process the depth of my betrayal. So let me get this straight, he said finally. You spent an entire weekend pretending to be some corporate detective, looking for dirt on me, and you didn't think once to stop and ask yourself if this was okay? Of course I did, I cried. But what choice did I have? If I said no, he would have turned against you. I didn't want to take that risk. I thought, you thought wrong, he said coldly. The silence that followed was unbearable. Finally, he spoke again. Did you find anything? I looked at him, confused. Did you find any dirt on me? He repeated. Anything that proves I'm the kind of man he thinks I am? I shook my head. Number nothing. Because there was nothing to find, Daniel. I told him that. You're clean. You're loyal. You're everything he doesn't deserve to have working for him. Daniel let out a bitter laugh. Funny, he said. Because I can't say the same about you. The words cut deeper than any insult he could have thrown at me. I didn't cheat on you, I whispered, my voice cracking. I know what this looks like. I know how badly I hurt you. But Daniel, I swear, I never touched him. I never touched anyone. I didn't do anything like that. You don't get it, do you? He said, shaking his head. I would have rather found out you slept with someone else. I gasped. What? At least then it would have made sense, he went on. At least then I would have known it was just some stupid, selfish mistake. But this, you lied to me for weeks. Planned it. Executed it. You let another man use you as a pawn against me. You didn't just betray me, Liz. You humiliated me. Tears burned in my eyes. Daniel, please. Do you have any idea what it feels like to find out that your own wife was sent to test your loyalty? His voice was rising now, filled with a rage I had never seen in him before. I have spent years building my name, my reputation. And you let him make a fool out of me. You let him make a fool out of us. I reached for him, but he stepped back. No, he said, shaking his head. You don't get to touch me, not right now. I choked back a sob. Daniel, I love you, I whispered. I did this for us, I thought. No, he interrupted. You did this for him, for his approval, for his stupid, twisted game, not for me, not for us. Silence, a long, painful silence. Finally, he let out a heavy sigh. I need time. Time, I echoed, panic rising in my chest. Daniel, please don't do this. We can fix this. We can talk through it. Please. I said I need time. And with that, he turned and walked away. For the first time in 3 years, my husband left the house without telling me where he was going. And for the first time in my life, I had no idea if he was ever coming back. A marriage can survive many things, but can it survive betrayal, even if it wasn't the kind he imagined? Daniel was gone for hours. At first, I told myself he just needed to clear his head, that he would come back once he cooled down, that we'd sit down and talk like we always did after a fight. But the hours dragged on. The sun went down, the house grew silent, and he still didn't come home. That was when the fear truly set in. Had I lost him? Had I just destroyed my marriage with my own hands? I sat on the couch staring at my phone, willing it to ring. But it never did. I wanted to call him, to beg him to come home. But something in my gut told me that if I pushed him now, I might push him away for good. So I waited, and when he finally walked through the door just after midnight, my heart nearly collapsed from relief. But one look at his face told me this wasn't over, not even close. Daniel stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He looked exhausted, like he had spent the last few hours fighting a battle inside his head. Where did you go? I asked softly. Drove around, he said, voice flat. Needed to think. I nodded, swallowing hard. Are you okay? He let out a bitter laugh. No, Liz, I'm not okay. Not even close. My chest tightened. Daniel, please, let's talk. Let me explain more. No, he cut me off. No more talking. No more explanations. I've heard enough. I blinked, my breath catching. What does that mean? He exhaled slowly, rubbing his temples before looking me dead in the eyes. It means I don't know if I can do this anymore. A sharp pain stabbed through my chest. Daniel, please don't say that. What do you want me to say, Liz? His voice cracked, and for the first time I saw the pain in his eyes. That I forgive you? That we can pretend like this never happened? That I'll magically wake up tomorrow and trust you again? I bit my lip hard, trying to keep the tears from falling. I never meant to hurt you, I whispered. But you did, he shot back. And the worst part? You don't even realize how deep this cut. I do. I cried, standing up, desperation clawing at my throat. Daniel, I know I messed up. I should have told you. I should have trusted you instead of him. I should have. Yeah, he said quietly. You should have. Silence. A long, painful silence. Then, finally, he spoke again. I need space. My stomach twisted. Space? Yes, he said, his voice firm. I don't know if I can sleep next to you right now, Liz. I don't know if I can look at you without remembering how you made me feel. And I sure as hell don't know if I can trust you again. Tears slipped down my cheeks. Are you saying you want a divorce? He hesitated. For one agonizing moment, I thought he was going to say yes. But then he shook his head. I don't know, he admitted. But I do know I can't stay in this house right now. Daniel, please don't do this, I begged. But he was already walking toward the bedroom, grabbing the bag, stuffing in clothes like he was afraid to look at me. I rushed to his side, grabbing his arm. Daniel, please don't walk away, not like this. He turned to me, his expression unreadable. I need time, he repeated. Time to think, time to breathe, time to figure out if I can ever look at you the same way again. And then, before I could say another word, he walked out the door. The house was too quiet without him. I sat in the living room for hours hoping he would come back, that he would realize this was a mistake, but he didn't. Days passed, then a week. Daniel didn't return. He didn't call. And the reality of what I had done settled in like a weight pressing against my chest. I had lied. I had broken his trust. And now I was paying the price. I wanted to believe we could fix this, that he would come home, that we'd talk, that we'd figure it out. But deep down, I knew the truth. Some betrayals leave scars too deep to heal, and I wasn't sure if Daniel would ever be able to forgive me. One night, as I lay alone in our bed, staring at the empty space beside me, my phone lit up. A message from Daniel. We need to talk. My heart pounded. Maybe this was it. Maybe he was ready to come home. Or maybe this was the beginning of the end.